All right, after talking about sleep last week, it's time to get back into supplements. So this week, I'll be talking about fish oil. So fish oil is like one of the top supplements in my opinion that you can get. So I like for me, the top three would be like a multivitamin, fish oil, and a joint supplement. So multivitamin would be to pretty much as like an insurance policy, make sure you're getting your micronutrients in. A joint supplement for the idea of like helping your joints and everything. So I went over that in a couple weeks, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And fish oil, because the fish oil is rich in those omega-3 fatty acids. Now you primarily find that in like things like your seafood, like salmon. So the reason why like you want to supplement with fish oil is to get those fatty omega-3 fatty acids, and so like they offer a lot of like anti-inflammatory benefits and everything. So think of like when you're inflaming your body, like with the like in sense for lifting weights, you're like causing damage and everything. So like anti-inflammatory kind of helps in like reducing stress and everything. So the some of the stuff that in like an article through the Mayo Clinic that I'm going to link in the comments like usual, is that like it talks about like how it's made up of two things, like DHA and EPA. So they have the scientific names in the article and everything. I I'm going to not even attempt to butcher the pronunciations of those, but like those are the two things you want to look for in like a fish oil. So, like I said, it acts as like an anti-inflammatory, so it can help in like in healing and stuff. So, uh, some of the stuff that like it can help with are like heart disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, like rheumatoid arthritis. So of course, now this isn't to say that like if you take fish oil supplements with these issues, like it's a cure all. What you need to do is you need to look at all like you always have to look at your lifestyle habits, are you getting proper nutrition, or are you being physically active with your training? Are you surrounding yourself with good people that are in a sense motivating you or keeping you disciplined to bring out the best version of yourself, like the growth mindset, like you're surrounding yourself with people that are trying to level up, so you're like, oh damn, my friend Ted, he's sitting there busting his ass, and he's constantly improving. Well, I guess I gotta start bringing my A game, because Ted and I both work at the same company, and he just got his a promotion because he was busting his ass and everything. I want the same kind of promotion, so I better start bringing my A game. So you're surrounding yourself with people like that. You're making sure you're getting your proper sleep and proper hydration, and like you're giving yourself adequate recovery time between workouts and everything. You're working on your mobility. You're like working on your mental health, and you're constantly doing that on a daily, weekly basis and everything. So this is where like a supplementation comes in handy, is to help fill in those gaps that you might and to kind of help augment what you're eating. So if like for instance it was saying that your seafood is high in omega-3 fatty acids, you you could be someone who may be allergic to certain types of seafood. Like a shellfish is the most common, so you might have to find other sources of getting those omega-3 fatty acids in, so you can gain the benefits and everything. So this is why getting supplementation is important, is to fill those gaps that you might find in your dietary or in your nutritional approach and everything. So now you could with all the different types of nutritional approaches, from completely animal based of carnivore to completely plant based with vegan, and all the things in between. There's things like keto, there's pescatarian, paleo, vegetarian. There's really no perfect diet, oh, everyone's got to do keto, oh no, you got to do carnivore, no, vegan's the best. What you need to do is you need to find the approach of all this stuff that's out there that works the best for you, and that you can stick with over the long term. Like for me, Could I necessarily do keto over the long term? No, I would not be able to stick to it because a lot of the foods that I like to eat, fruits, especially berries, like blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries. I'm someone who loves fruits, especially berries. So this is in a sense why I couldn't necessarily stick with keto myself, because I'd be depriving myself of some of the food that I like to eat. Now, that's not to say oh, hey, I'm gonna go with the donut diet. Let me go with the donut diet. No, donuts aren't food. I'm talking about actual real food, things like fruits and veggies, and actual good protein sources. And now I'm always going to be biased towards animal-based approach when it comes to protein sources, because those tend to be more bioavailable, and that seems to work for me in my approach is like a paleo type approach. So now, of course, with saying that, being biased towards that, and saying okay, this is what works best for me. What you need to do is okay, he's talking about his biases, and okay, this is where he's coming from. This is what he's saying works best for him. Let me try this. Okay, this paleo type approach doesn't work for me, but a vegetarian approach works for me better. So instead of just sitting there being oh, well, you're totally wrong, and this is be okay, well, I tried it, didn't work for me. This approach works better for me. So now with the supplementation, if you're using the vegetarian example, you might not necessarily be getting the omega-3 fatty acids from your salmon and your meat sources and stuff. So you might think they're oh, well, I still need to get this in. So here's where the fish oil comes in. It helps you boost that up and everything. So this is why supplementation is an important part, but it's not the only part, because regardless of how good your supplementation is, it won't do you jack shit if your nutrition isn't in order. So if you get your nutrition in order, then you start looking at oh, okay, so here's my weak points. Here's where I need to start filling the gaps in my nutrition. So this is why fish oil is one of the top supplements that I always be hey, look, if you're going to get something, get something like this and everything. So like I said, you can get those omega-3 fatty acids, that you're making sure you're getting enough DHA and EPA. And so now, I know Andrew Huberman, who I talked about last week with the sleep and everything, I know he did in one of his videos I watched, he did mention that you want to get at least a gram of the EPA. So I mean, it's something to shoot for. The fish oil I use through Athlean X is Dr. Cavalier's. It's his dad's stuff, who's a pharmacist. That does have a 1 gram of the EPA in it, but I'll say it's better to get at least some in, even if it doesn't have that whole 1 gram. So even if you're getting maybe 100 or 200 milligrams of the EPA, or or DHA, if you're overall getting maybe a 1.3 grams of the whole omega-3 fatty acid breakdown and everything, you're still getting it in. So it's better to get it in instead of shooting oh, I need to get this much, and then oh, well, I can't find anything that gives me this much and everything, so I'm just going to screw it. It's better to get at least some in than none at all. So you may want to try and find something that this is where quality comes into mind. So okay, well, this is what I can get. It might not be ideal for getting that 1 gram of EPA or whatever. I'm still getting maybe 200 milligrams. So okay, well, it's maybe not ideal, but it's better than nothing. So we kind of have to also look into the factor of our financial budget and everything. So maybe we can't afford that $50 bottle of fish oil every month and everything. That does give us that 1 gram of EPA or whatever. But what we can do is we maybe can afford a $20 bottle, and we're getting that 200 milligrams of EPA and everything. So now, is it ideal? No, but it is going to be a lot better getting those 200 milligrams, affording that $20 bottle of fish oil, than getting nothing in at all. So we kind of have to look at it as pretty much a scale, a spectrum. Okay, well, I might not be top tier, getting the top quality of fish oil and everything. I am able to at least get something that I can afford and everything. So now maybe I can start maybe pulling some overtime at my job so I can maybe afford a slightly better supplement, or maybe slightly better food, or like where I can get EP, like those omega-3 fatty acids through maybe another source through my nutrition, or through like a better supplementation and everything. So well, like anything, it's a spectrum, and we got to look at a scale. Like, okay, where do I land on this scale, and like where can I get that $50 bottle, or do I have to get that $20 bottle? Can I like sit here and like work towards maybe increase like improving my nutrition and this or that? So there's like all the different like factors we have to look into, like whether it's financial, like nutrition, or outside factors, like whatever the factor is, like that's unique to each and every one of our individual uh, yeah, like with my perspective, my approach, what's your unique perspective approach, and like we have to look at everything on like an individual level to be able to make the best decisions we have. So like I said, I'll link the Mayo Clinic article that I pulled for this. It's mayoclinic.org, so it's a decent source of information. So it'll be in the comments as usual.